As many of you know, I've done a lot of talks to groups and churches and things about suicide prevention and mental health awareness and depression. And I've had some friends of mine with children going through suicidal thoughts and depression. And as I just kind of watch the world right now, it's hard as a survivor to explain what they're going through and what they are going to go through. I also realized that I don't know if I've ever really put out the actual complete story of what I went through and what's happened since September of 2012. And so I'm going to put it out there, and then I'm going to do maybe a little bit of talking around that, especially as a professional, as a middle-aged professional struggling still. But so there's a morning, September of 2012, I thought I had hit rock bottom. The marriage I was in at the time and a lot of other things. And so at the time, my mindset was, I'm always okay when I'm asleep. And so in my mind, I was just wanting to go to sleep. And so I ended up going to Walmart. It's about 5 in the morning, I think, 5:30 in the morning, and buying some sleeping pills, a new bottle. And then the next thing I remember vividly is waking up in the ICU. So apparently what had happened at some point, I had whatever the intention at the time was to take a few pills to help sleep. And at some point, I'm assuming I started maybe to realize that I had taken too many and had gotten on Facebook and basically had said a goodbye to people. So a really good guy I worked with, Sean Spurrier at the time, contacted another buddy of mine I worked with who actually had a degree in that and knew me pretty well in my struggles, and said something doesn't look right with this post. And so Gus, Eric Gustafson, my buddy, put a wellness check in on me, and they found me at home, which I don't know how I got there. It was a pretty short drive at the time from the Walmart parking lot to the house we were in. Obviously, should have never have even been in the car at that point. But they found me there, called an ambulance, and then I woke up in the ICU. So they completely pumped my stomach. The doctor had been sitting there, and he said, "Do you remember taking any sleeping pills?" I was like, "Yeah, I remember just wanting to sleep. I was very upset and I was sleeping." And so he goes, "Do you know how many you took?" I said, I don't know, a handful or whatever. He said, "Well, the bottle was empty. The bottle I had just bought from Walmart." And so he said I probably had a good hour, maybe an hour and a half left, where I would have died without being charcoaled and my stomach pumped. And as I woke up in the ICU, my first wife, still pregnant with my second child, was standing there. And I won't get into any of those details of all the situations surrounding that, because it's completely irrelevant. Because the truth is, regardless of situations or what was going on, there's a point where you have to admit very openly that was a very aggressive suicide attempt. And I would try to say, well, I overdid it and I didn't mean to, or I just wanted to sleep because when I'm asleep, nothing's wrong, and blah, blah, blah. And there's all these bullshit justifications of that whole thing. But the truth is I aggressively tried and was really close to succeeding. And for me, the most sobering moment of that was seeing my mom there and the look on her face, and I guess the confusion of of why maybe I was there. And so I didn't I didn't I didn't want to be there again, and I definitely didn't want that to happen. The only recollection I have of being down was seeing and talking to my grandparents who have passed. Um, every cliche you hear about near-death experiences are true. I did not see my body hovering over myself, but every other aspect of it saw and felt. The comfort and the peace and nothing but this energy of love. And of course, my grandparents explaining some things, saying I wasn't ready yet, and that whole thing. So a lot of that near-death experience I had was very real. And so from that point, I went into at the time, probably the best mental health place that I could go to at that time. And of course, it was not voluntary because I had seen the psychiatrist in there. Said, I said, I don't want this to happen. I don't want to be here again. I'd like to talk to somebody. Of course, like, well, you had extremely aggressive suicide attempt, so you have no choice. You are going. And the one I went to at the time was Sundance. And I spent 6 full days in the mental hospital. And I had a very Patch Adams experience. And quite honestly, the psychiatrist I saw couldn't care less. She's kind of a pill pusher, and everything. A couple of the overnight technicians, and then some of the people there in the mental hospital were what really got me through that. I had a very Patch Adams experience of helping them. And you learn real quick, only about 1 out of 10 people in a situation like that want to get help and get better. The other 9 couldn't care less, which I wish that number was so much higher, but a lot of them there. And I saw everything you could think of, alcoholism to drug use to cutters, schizophrenia, and a lot of that stuff was around me at all times. And that first night was really, really bad. And it was really bad for my mom. And, and I was somewhat hysterical. I was like, this isn't where I'm supposed to be. I might want to get help, but this isn't where I'm supposed to be. And she wanted to get me out of there. Unfortunately, I have 2 incredibly smart, loving brothers who said, no, that's exactly why he does need to be in there. And so I stayed. But by that next morning, I realized the severity of the situation. Like, I shouldn't be here. I should not be here. And I am. So that next morning, I started taking very seriously. I went to every group. Every time there was a discussion, any activity. And the whole time, keeping my humor alive as I have to in those situations. But that started years of listening to TED Talks and reading books, going to therapy, throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall, just trying to get over this whole thing. Up until about a month ago, I've been on meds. I stopped my meds about a month ago. And a lot of people are kind of wondering why I did that. And I'm telling you that this is where I'm at right now. So there is no suicidal thoughts. I've had years of therapy and reading and understanding that it is not my life to take. And so I know I can't do that, even though there's days where I just don't really want to be here anymore. But I have spent years reading and learning and listening, having time with, I've had 2 separate different therapists. My first one I had for a long time, the one that I have now, getting me to work through things to learn that the depression, it's a process of work. The meds are an extremely small part of that, okay? There is no pill to pop and everything's better. In fact, in a lot of ways, it does numb you. And as one of my favorite people, Brene Brown, says in a lot of her talks is you can't selectively numb. So you can't numb all the pain and hard stuff without also numbing love and joy and passion. And those things are my superpower if I'm going to have any sort of a chance in the profession I'm in. So here I am today. I turned 50 last year, and I'm scared to death. With music AI being the way it is, here I am at 50, barely scraping by, what I consider scraping by at all, any sort of a financial living. If it wasn't for my wife, Carla, I would have zero chance. And I don't know what to do next. I don't know at 50 if I'm too old. Maybe at 50 with all the work and countless years, session work, studios, gigs, live sessions, lessons taught and learned from countless venues. I've written 4 complete screenplays. I've done what acting that I could in those moments. And I'm afraid I'm in a career world that doesn't want me, or maybe doesn't want people like me anymore. And then there's the simple fact of, maybe I just don't have what it takes to get into a situation where financially I'm a little bit more comfortable. I have no grand illusions of being famous and ultra wealthy, but right now I'm like, I don't know what to do next. As a 50-year-old, I can't start a new career completely 180. Anything I go to school for would be several years, and then no one's going to hire a first timer in their 50s. They might say whatever, but they won't, trust me. And so I'm doing YouTube for the Tarpley Music Company, and I'm playing every gig that I can. And I'm trying to write, and I'm trying to figure out how to get to a next level as in studios around here and all these things. And I'm scared to death. I don't know if I will have a shot. And so people don't understand that when they think, well, you can't separate music and art and job. And it's like, well, none of those are mutually exclusive. So this is where all my skill set is. All my skill set is in the arts as an actor, writer, musician, performer. That's it. Public speaking, maybe, some other things, but I'm not sure what is left that I need to do. That quite honestly, I think God needs me to do before those floodgates open. But I'm so grateful to be in a lost process. There's 3 things I've learned that I need to survive, me personally, and that's progress, process, and purpose. I need to always be making progress, or I will have no joy. I have to be in some sort of a process, and I'm usually in several, or I'll have no joy. And I have to have purpose, as a dad and father and friend and brother. Yes, none of that I doubt, but my purpose. What is my talent purpose? What is my purpose I'm supposed to do to be able to be somewhat, and I get so mad at people talking about it is okay that it's the art form and not about money and blah blah. And that's just like it is. If you spent 34 years of your entire professional existence at something, and it's your only form to make, I have every right to want to have some money to retire on and to do nice things, just like if someone who went to law school or business school. It's no different than that. The difference is I'm in a career that, like I said, may not want me. People got to push of a button can recreate music like it's nothing, so and it's so it's the aspect of where in the industry am I going to be. Yes, I can truly perform, I can truly play all the instruments, I can actually do the thing, but I'm not sure if that matters anymore. So it scares me. But what I do know is if I hadn't taken a huge step of accountability in realizing the severity of my suicide attempt and really start digging into the arena and reading and listening to therapists and working at it every day. And people are like, well, it's been 12 years, you're good now, right? And I'm going, I don't know a single sober person after 12 years that doesn't still call themselves an alcoholic if they suffered that. So yes, I still have that. I just know how to deal with it better. And I have my ups and I have my lows. And now I feel them all because I'm off the meds. But that is my superpower. And I believe I have the tools to harness it into something. I just don't know what that is yet. So if anyone has listened to this, if your child or you have been in that suicide rut of things, I'm not sugarcoating it, and I'm not saying, look at me. I'm just saying I have a lot of skin in that game, and I've truly been there. I shouldn't be. I was an hour away from not existing. And so that's what it takes. Accountability. It takes hard work, and it takes admitting what it is. If you're sad sometimes, okay, great, you're supposed to be, right? But if you are truly thinking this lie that I had of everyone will be better if I'm not here, just think of all the stress they won't have to deal with because I won't be here. It's a lie. It's complete BS. It's the depression or the devil, whatever you want to call it, talking to you. It is complete bullshit. No one is better off if you are gone, okay? That doesn't mean that you're just instantly cured and that it goes away. I work on it every day, all day. And the reason I'm such an open book and why I've done so many talks with groups and churches, and I've had a radio show, and is because men tend to not talk about it as much. And I don't really care what people outside of the arena say. You can call me weak. You can call me whatever. I don't care, because I'm in the arena with other guys who some of the most masculine men I know can break. So I don't know. I just felt the need to really do this today. If anyone watches it, get help. I can't help you. It's not my profession. But there's a process that's so much better, because even in my hardest days now, I'm way better than I was that dark morning where I almost slept forever. And I hope everyone's caught before anyone's in that situation. I hope they're caught before that bottle of pills is gone. And there's something out there. For those of you who pray that I figure out what that answer is professionally. I'm as busy as I can be, and no spaghetti is really sticking yet. But there's a reality. If I can sit in this studio in my house and I can play all the keyboards, I can play all the separate guitars, I can play drums if I physically have them, I can definitely do the vocal parts, and I can do all this stuff on my own sitting in this room authentically and with purpose. And I can do it for any sort of a film, TV style, songs, arranging. There has to be a spot for me somewhere, whether it's this or on stage. So I pray that I still have a chance to find it even at 50. So anyway, I hope all of y'all have a great day. And please, if you know someone who's there, do not take it lightly, because they could end up in a Walmart parking lot overdosing without you even knowing it. And if it hadn't been for Gus and Sean Spurrier, I'd be dead. So to you two guys, if you ever watch this, you all have people like that in your corner that will call, just find them. So anyway, here's to surviving a suicide attempt, working at depression, beating that little bitch devil, and trying to find my spot in the artistic world, because it's really all we got. So, thanks.